Morning. Can you hear me in the back? Veterans, students, staff, guests, welcome to SSHS. This has become one of the greatest events we do each year. We want to say welcome. My name is Michael Mann. I'm the superintendent here. Honored to be a part of this great event. I would like to take a minute to say thank you to Principal Derek Driver and his staff and the students that have made this possible all morning into this afternoon. And I'd like to take this minute to recognize Josh Williams. He's a behind-the-scenes guy. Josh brought this to us a few years ago. He drives this, he makes it happen, and it's a wonderful event. So with that, I'll say thank you, Josh. Thank you, Mr. Driver, students, and staff. We hope you had a good lunch. We hope you're settling in. Veterans, I myself will say thank you so much for your service and thank you for being here today. I'll turn it over to Dr.
Well, the microphone's obviously set for me. Welcome, honored veterans, family members, guests, and students. We are honored to be with you today on such an important occasion. We're here today to honor our service members and to remember the sacrifices they made and the courage it takes to defend this great country and our freedom. To our veterans, current servicemen and women, and your families, we thank you. When we put this program together, we have two primary goals, and it's been the same two goals since we've started. The first goal is to honor our veterans and servicemen and women. And our second goal has been to teach our students what it means to be a patriotic American. A few years ago, a great student asked me, what's the big deal? Why do we keep doing this? Why does it take so long? I'm so glad he asked me that. He got both barrels of an answer from me. But I want to share part of the answer with all of the students here as we get ready to get started. The United States of America is the greatest nation on earth. And it remains that way because it stands constantly defended by the best of us. And we're looking at the best of us here, our veterans and our servicemen and women. How fortunate we are to live under the history and protection that we have. This program, students, is to remind you who you are, where you came from, and who bought it for you, our veterans, in the face of those who would seek to take it away. This country, don't you forget, we are the biggest, we are the baddest, we are the smartest, we are the fastest, we are the hardest working, we are the most creative. We happen to be the wealthiest. And first and foremost, and do not forget, one nation under God. That's who we are. We sit here today, this country, we are the envy of the world. Good people around the world would do anything to have just a taste of the freedom that we rise and sleep under every day. That's why it's a big deal. But it comes at a price. These folks, our friends, our veterans who are here today, have provided that for us, have paid it for us. Students, you live in a land of opportunity. You can go to school, go to work, go to church, speak your mind. You can have all of it, but it will not be handed to you. You have to be willing to get to work. But the opportunity has been purchased for you by our veterans and our servicemen and women. There are no second-class citizens in this country. All of you are free because of the history and service that we honor here today. You need to know that this world is a dangerous place. There are those who would destroy us right now if they could. But they can't. Because our veterans, current servicemen and women, they say, no, you will not destroy us now, today, tomorrow, anytime. Not while I'm on watch, not while I'm on duty. It will not be allowed. Students, these patriots stand in the gap between those who would do us evil and this great country. So why do we do this? When the flag passes here in a few minutes and our veterans are recognized, you're supposed to feel something when that happens. That's what it means to be a patriotic American. Be a proud citizen of this great nation of ours. But don't forget the cost. It doesn't just happen. It's bought with blood, sweat, and tears. It's a really, really big deal. Your presence here today to honor our heroes and our veterans, to remember their achievements, their courage and dedication, we appreciate it. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We thank you for your sacrifices. Would our service members please stand if you served during the time of following wars or conflicts? Please stand if you served our country during the time of World War II. Please stand if you served during the Korean War. Please stand if you served during the Vietnam War. The Bay of Pigs. The Berlin Crisis. The Cuban Missile Crisis. Grenada. Panama. The Gulf War, which includes Operations Desert Shield and Operations Desert Storm. Somalia. Bosnia. Kosovo. The war on terror is ongoing to this day abroad, Afghanistan, Iraq, and beyond. The war on terror at home, which is ongoing. National Guard, first responders, law enforcement, fire department, and other first responders. If you served our country at the ready during peacetime, served on graduation. Would you please stand? Your presence here today is a tribute to your service and your sacrifices. It's a way to say that we remember. Thank you for attending today. God bless you and your families. God bless our troops, and God bless America.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, and SSHS, the school district. We appreciate all of it. Thank you very much. Okay, and will everybody rise, please? Please raise the proper salute. There's our flags, our colors are advanced, and then the national anthem and the flag. Okay? Color guard, 10 up. Prepare to advance the colors. Advance the colors.
Please be seated. branch of the military service is called. Please stand. U.S. Army, please stand. Marine Corps. Air Force. Coast Guard.
Prepare to vote. Vote. Left face. Forward move. Big seat.
It is my honor to introduce to you Petty Officer First Class Jacob Fuller. After graduating from Keller High School, Jacob enlisted in the United States Navy with a contract for basic underwater demolition SEAL School. where he graduated with Class 264 at 19 years old. He was sent to SEAL Team 2 in Norfolk, where he served as a point man and sniper in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. Jacob's wife and 2 kids have supported him through his transition into the civilian sector, where he has been blessed to be part of some amazing companies and complete his degree from Dallas Baptist University. Jacob is currently the co-founder and head of business operations for Mars Seal Group, a commercial construction company based out of Roanoke, Texas. You will find no more humble warrior than Petty Officer First Class Jacob Floyd.
Thank you guys very much. I first want to say thank you to Sulphur Springs ISD for inviting me today. This is unlike anything I've ever seen in any other school district, so thank you very much. Very much. 7 years ago, tomorrow actually, I closed my locker, turned in my gear, and drove away from SEAL Team 2 for the last time. I'd achieved all my goals in my 7 years, but I returned with more questions than when I left. I left for the Navy with mostly questions about myself. When I returned, they were questions mostly about life. I wanted to prove to myself that I was not weak. So I picked the hardest job that I could think of. You should have seen my parents' face when a 135-pound, second-string defensive back for the Keller Indians and a C student at best told them that I was going to become a Navy SEAL. You would have thought that I would have told them that I was going to be the next Donald Trump. They believed in me, but I didn't believe in myself. And they knew that. I remember growing up, I was at my grandmother's house one day, and I had a very severe skin disease, to the point where I can remember taking a pencil, and when I was little, scratching the back of my legs to the point where I looked at my hands and they were bleeding. The back of my legs were bleeding, and I literally had blood on my hands. So when a kid like that tells their parents something like, I want to become a Navy SEAL, it's hard to believe. My question to you is, who in here has a disability? Who in here has an obstacle? Because after a lot of heartache and a few scars, at 19 I became a SEAL. No one was more surprised than me. I remember the day after Hell Week, I slept for 18 hours. Hell Week is 5 days of no sleep. And they keep you moving, they keep you wet and sandy. And I remember very clearly, after waking up from those 18 hours, my body barely being able to move, I looked down and my hands were white. It looked like I had died. And I remember grabbing my skin and peeling it off like it was wax coming off of both of my hands and off my feet. 5 days in the ocean had taken its toll. But all in that same moment, I remember where I came from. I remember being in my grandmother's house and feeling worthless. And feeling like I had no hope. Upon arrival at my first team, they told me to go to the intel office. They needed me to start my security clearance. I was to receive a SSHS security clearance status. So I walk in, and there's this nice lady across the table, and I start filling out my paperwork, and I ask her, I say, what type of information will I be able to access after this? And I think she knew where I was going, because she said, what exactly do you mean? And I said, well, what kind of information will I get? And she said, operational information. And I said, what exactly is that? And she said, what are you looking for, honey? And I said, I just want to know if there's aliens at Area 51. And she said, let me tell you something. TS means top secret, and SCI means secret compartmentalized information. Meaning, if you don't need to know, you ain't gonna know. And let me tell you, you ain't gonna know. So I realized very quickly that I was gonna be on this journey, and I had no clue what the next day held. The secrets that I thought or hoped would be revealed that day were never told to me. Go figure, right? The secret that I was really looking for lied ahead in my journey. My last tour was to Afghanistan. We lived in a small community. As a sniper, I would lay on the mountainside for hours, watching people through my scope. And because you can only remember so many songs in a day when you're laying on a mountain, I started to watch those people, and I started to pay attention and think like I never had before. I couldn't understand what they were saying, and I was looking at them from really far away, so I just had to imagine what was their life like. What were they going through that day? What were their hardships and trials? What were their lives like? And without trying to, I started to see from a new perspective. Then I started thinking of life as a whole, beyond Afghanistan, beyond the Navy, beyond me. Now, it's one of the greatest gifts that the Navy gave to me was a perspective beyond my own. So today I'm going to give you the memoirs of Jake on a mountainside with too many 5-hour interviews. You have a society. We've got a couple guys here from World War II, which is a very special thing to have here today. But let's take the society that they were involved in Germany in the late 30s and 1940s. One party or people group wants to be superior, so they suppress another people group, like the Nazi Party did to the Jews. The superior group, or so they think, starts to tear down the other by using shame until the point of slavery. And let me tell you something. Shame is a very, very powerful tool. And I know that there are a lot of people in this room right now that in some form or fashion have experienced shame. If you're a student in here, look at me. There is no shame when you have freedom. You see, slavery has many different faces. It can come in the form of technology, through social media. It can come through the disability that you feel that you have. That can honestly be a gift. Shame is something that can trap you if you let it. This process is only broken by a defender or defenders. Someone who is willing to suffer and sacrifice to the point of death. Those defenders keep away the predators. Those defenders are the thing between you and the wolves. Those defenders bring salvation. Webster describes salvation as the deliverance from harm, ruin, or loss. These men and women you are celebrating today have endured much. And when you return back home, after years away, it can be a very lonely feeling. Not just because of starting over, but also because of a lack of understanding. Those around you, they don't understand me. I didn't understand. And in one question, President George W. Bush explained it to me. I had an opportunity to speak with him. And I asked him a question, and he looked back at me, and he said, "Jake, I believe that whether you're the President of the United States or a 7-year-old girl in Afghanistan, both have the right to be free." He summed up 2 wars and a decade of fighting in a couple sentences. And it clicked with me, because I hadn't thought of it like that. To me, it was, what about me? What about I? talking about was a cause, a principle bigger than you. Something to stand for, something to fight for, something that these people have stood and fought for. We must fight for salvation, for freedom, and for liberty. These aren't just words. They are the most important duties that we have in our life. Duties that can be exhausting, but we can't forget their importance. This does not mean on the battle. This does not just mean on the battlefield. It means in everyday life. At work, at school, and at home. So today I'm going to leave you with this. This morning I spoke to 7th graders at Argyle Middle School. And I gave a speech very similar to the one that I'm giving right now. And there was one kid in particular, one 7th grader, that was paying attention. He was listening. And in listening, I could tell it was effective. So afterwards, I go up to him and I told him, I pulled him aside and I whispered in his ear. And I said, be strong. And he broke down. Like I'm sure if I pulled one of you aside, or any of you aside, you would do the same. We're not as strong individually as we think. And I had told these boys to be warriors and to live it out. Don't just hear it, live it out. To be the one that stands up for the weak. To be the one that fights. And one of the other boys, as he broke down, walked over to him and hugged him. 7th graders don't do that. They make fun of each other, as y'all know. And then 2 other boys came over. That boy became a warrior today. And in the process, 2 other boys became warriors. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor today. If you're joining the United States military out of high school, I would like for you to stand up. In the teens and in the military, we call men and women like you sheepdogs. Because sheepdogs protect the sheep from the wolves. Everybody look around, there's your sheepdogs. Now I'm going to ask something else. If you're a senior in high school, stand up. If you're a junior in high school, stand up. If you're a sophomore in high school, stand up. A freshman. Hey, listen. Focus. Now what I want you guys to do is I want you to interlock arms. Not get distracted. Pay attention. Now, if you're an adult, stand up. That is the veteran spirit that we celebrate today. Whether no matter what branch you're in, this is what we celebrate. We celebrate fighting for something bigger than ourselves. I don't know the bases that these men and women are at, but I can tell you that they have sacrificed and suffered. So let me say something. Stand up, stand together, and stand strong, because this is what a united America looks like. This is the difference between us and other nations, old, young, no matter what race or gender. If you can look to the person next to you and say, I'm willing to suffer and sacrifice for you, then you've earned the right to be an American. About today and the meaning of it and why you're here, you're just thankful to be out of class, I want you to remember something. That spirit is the key to unlock the gate of my life. And I pray that it does the same for you. God bless.
Those who are missing in action. Our heavenly World War II, when we had 15 million men and women in uniform, there are still 73,025 missing. 41,000 of those are lost at sea and will probably never be recovered. Korea, 7,665 missing. Vietnam, 1,589. Vietnam proper, 1,246. Laos, 288. Cambodia, 48. And the People's Republic of China, territorial waters, 7. Cold War, 111. Iraq and other conflicts, 5. We have over 600 Department of Defense men and women working to find missing. DOWMIA Day is the 3rd Friday in September. There is now pending on the President's desk a bill passed by both houses that requires the DOWMIA flag to be posted below the American flag over the Capitol, the White House, and other important government buildings. We're finally starting to realize what this means. So today, assisted by these fine students, we will talk about the meaning of being a prisoner of war or missing. If you see the unattended table on my left, dinner is set for 1. It's our way of symbolizing the fact that members of our profession
missing from our midst. They are commonly called MIAs or POWs. We call them family. They are unable to be with us. We honor them today by remembering. The table set for one is small. That symbolizes the frailty of their existence, alone against their oppression. Remember, the tablecloth is white. That symbolizes a purity of heart when answering their country's call to arms. Remember, the black tablecloth reflects the sorrow of captivity. Remember, a slice of linen on a plate. It's on the red plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember, there is salt and a knife and fork. Salt is sprinkled on the plate. That is symbolic of the family's tears as they await their return. Remember, the glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us today. Remember. The chair. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember, the single rose symbolizes the families and loved ones who keep the faith, awaiting their return. Remember, the red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn upon the lapel and breast of thousands who bear witness to our unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting of our missing. Remember, once again, we remember and pay homage to loved ones, friends, and comrades in arms who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we enjoy today. All of you who have served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon their might and aid and relied upon them, remember, they have not forgotten nor forsaken us. Let's remember, lest they be forgotten. Thank you, Steve.
CDL I wasn't living. Times were tough back in 35. That's me and Uncle Joe just trying to survive a cotton farm in the Great Depression. If it looks like we were scared to death, like a couple of kids just trying to save each other, you should have seen it in color. Oh, and this one here was taken overseas in the middle of hell in 1943 in the wintertime. Could almost see my breath. That's my tail gunner, old Johnny McGee. He was a high school teacher from New Orleans, and he had my back right through the day we left. If it looks like we were scared to death, like a couple of kids just trying to save each other, you should have seen it in color. The pictures are worth 1,000 words, but you can't see what those shades of gray keep covered. You should have seen it in color. This one is my favorite one. It's me and Grandma in the summer sun, all dressed up the day we said our vows. You can't tell it here, but it was hot that June, and that her rose was red and her eyes were blue, and just look at that smile. I was so proud. That's a story of my life, right there in black and white. If it looks like we were scared to death, like a couple of kids just trying to save each other, you should have seen it in color. A picture's worth 1,000 words, but you can't see what those shades of gray keep covered. You should have seen it in color. Yeah, pictures are worth 1,000 words, but you can't see what those shades of gray keep covered. You should have seen it in color.
This is a poem that I've written in class for many soldiers who have lost their lives in battle. The sacrifice. The sun, young, loving, Sulphur, stands over a grave adorned with flags and flowers, promising to remember his father forever, for he respects the sacrifice. The wife, mournful, longing, soft, stands over a grave that holds her beloved husband, reminding her son of his father's grave, where she accepts the sacrifice. A mother, grieving, sorrowful, ready, stands over a grave that is beautiful, even in sadness, knowing that her son did not die in vain, for she appreciates the sacrifice. A father, stoic, dignified, proud, stands over a grave he has seen one too many times, remembering the friends and comrades who have died for war. For he understands the sacrifice.
all these people, strong, enduring, thankful, stand together wrapped in a blanket of love and sorrow, honoring the Sulphur who gave his life for the ones who know, for they all know the sacrifice. Thank you.
Tomorrow all the things are gone I've worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars I'm living here today, because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, there is pride in every American heart. It's time to stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
The values. In the Army, a rifleman stands toe-to-toe with an enemy gunner, persevering past the stinging shrapnel and blazing fires, treading in the mud and on the sands of foreign lands, protecting a place known as America. In the Navy, a sailor stands, breast to breast with an enemy ship, persevering past the flaming kamikazes and roaring explosions, sailing on in the vast blue oceans, protecting a place known as America. In the Air Force, a pilot flies, wing to wing against an enemy fighter jet, persevering past the roaring gunfire of planes and discharging bombs. flying in the whiplash of the skies, protecting a place known as America. In the Marine Corps, a warrior stands, blade to blade with an enemy insurgent, persevering past the machine gun nest and pounding artillery, trudging on over the coarse beaches and jungles, protecting a place known as America. In the Coast Guard, a lookout stands, bow to bow with an enemy gunboat, persevering past the gunfire of smugglers and the torture of guard boats, patrolling the wide sandy coasts, protecting a place known as America. And that land is filled with the hope of millions, the love of millions, the respect of millions, for the heroes of a place called America.
Please rise for a moment of silence for all those who stood up and said,
I asked Clayton, told him there was one more thing we needed to remember. Yesterday was the 244th anniversary of the Marine Corps.
And I know I have to speak for each veteran here. Thank you and God bless you. And how about that speaker? I know that all of these school officials, as well as all of us veterans, thank all of you students for being so quiet and wistful and everything. We really appreciate that. Let's pray together. Father, we're thankful, Lord, that we can come together here in this place and enjoy this time of appreciation. And I'm so thankful that we live in a country where we can come into our schools and we can talk to you. I'm thankful for the leadership that we have here. And I pray for each veteran here. God be with each one, watch over them, and protect them. And be with all of these students. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I just want to say a couple things. I want to first thank the students and staff. We're able to celebrate this great event, make it a special day for all our guests. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank CNC Audio for all the added equipment this year really added something to our celebration this year. Most importantly, thanks to all our veterans and guests for choosing to spend some time of this special day with us. Again, thank you very much for your service. Thank you for spending time with us today. Students, you're dismissed back to 6th period. Our guests, please remain seated.